say about the expulsion?
Yes, I think that it was improper to do that, and as you've heard me say multiple times, to use expulsion under the Ohio Constitution, the only reason given for expulsion is disorderly conduct, and disorderly conduct very clearly is to be violent, an act of violence, or a threat of violence, and that doesn't apply here. The process that the people of Ohio have given in order to remove a member is pretty clear, and that's impeachment. And I even said on the House floor, if we're going to have an impeachment, I'll support that, but I don't support doing this the wrong way. And we basically stood out there, and they've taken away the vote of the 72nd House District and disenfranchised voters who, even knowing the situation at hand, made a decision to elect me last November, a House that certified my election and swore me in January of this year, and judged me at that time to be fit to serve. And now, here we are a few months later, 5 months later, I guess, and we've got an expulsion.
Will you be challenging this?
I don't have any idea. I can't believe we came to this day, to be quite honest with you.
Do you think...
The bill was just introduced 8 days ago, and we had a hearing last week, and we had a hearing last night, and here we are on the floor today.
Does this impact your federal case, do you believe?
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so.
Do you think you can run for re-election now, or do you think you're out for good?
Well, I think it all depends. As I have said previously, I am not guilty of the accusations. I have not solicited a bribe. I've never solicited a bribe. I've never been bribed, and I've never sold legislation. And so if the truth comes out when we are standing in a jury of our peers, then I won't be found guilty of a felony, and if that's the case, I think I can be reelected.
Do you have a message for the people of your district and for the rest of Ohioans?
Yes, I appreciate them standing up with me. I've always stood for the people of Ohio, and in particular the people of the 72nd House District. I always have. I've never apologized for the vigor that I use when I speak and work for the people of Ohio. I was a strong leader, I was a strong representative, and I was a very strong voice. And what gave me the ability to do those things was they had my back, and they've always had my back, and I've always had theirs, and I really appreciate that. It's very difficult, and I've said this to the voters before. It's very difficult. Most voters want their legislators and their elected officials to stand strong. It's very difficult to do that if you don't have an electorate standing strong with you. And so I've been fortunate through my time that I've had a very strong electorate, voters back home who have supported me, and it's given me the opportunity to stand strong on issues I knew were important to them and important to the state of Ohio.
Is this day worse for you today than a year or so ago when the indictments came out and the arrest?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I mean, it was such a total surprise at the arrest. It's like a fairy tale. I couldn't believe it. I still don't believe it happened. And so I'll be in shock in regards to that for a very long time. Today, it's a process. And I appreciate the legislative process. All of you know that. And I appreciate the Constitution that the people of Ohio have given to the legislature to act within the parameters of that Constitution. It's just today they didn't. They didn't act within the parameters of that Constitution. And if they wanted to remove me, they should have went through the proper procedure, which would be an impeachment, not an expulsion.
What's your next move? What do you do? Where do you go from here?
Well, I'm planning on going back to the farm, and we've still got some vegetables we need to plant.
Even if you are found innocent of this charge, I mean, how do you feel about this being a stain on your legacy?
Oh, I think it's just the opposite. I think if I come out of this the way I should, and I'm acquitted, I think that particularly Republicans clear across the state of Ohio are going to look at this and say this is a guy that they went after, and a guy at the end of the day they found that he didn't commit the things that they said that he did. And I actually think this could propel me. It doesn't impel me.
Do you want to be governor next, or how would it elevate you?
I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I do know this much. I don't plan on stopping in my pursuit for Ohio to be a better place to live and Ohioans to have an opportunity. It's that's a passion that I have, and I intend to continue to speak out on things that I think are wrong. I may be a little more vocal in regards to some elected officials who I feel are doing the wrong thing. I probably will be more vocal on issues that I disagree with. And I can tell you this much. Fellow elected officials who didn't like public citizen householder are really not going to like private citizen householder.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to be outspoken. I'm going to be out there traveling around the state of Ohio and talking to voters and explaining to them my vision of this state and holding elected officials accountable who aren't working for the people.
Do you have any regrets?
Anybody in